we probably don't do this. One is prioritize your pleasure. To increase your pleasure, to increase your creativity, we need to make it a top priority in our life. So if you are waking up and your day starts with rushing out of bed, checking emails, taking care of the kids, taking care of your a million tasks that you have to do, and you haven't taken a moment to feed your feminine first, to feed yourself with pleasure. And people wonder why, when they do this, they get at that hairy divorce, that hairy scary moment in their life where they're like, I don't know if my big plans and my big white picket fence house dream is going to work out, because they've been pushing so much in a way that's very depleting. That's all about the demands of success instead of actually filling ourselves up. So my husband and I have a practice of waking up every morning. We have a volcano view from our second story. We open the curtains, we sit outside, we meditate together. Sometimes one of us wakes up earlier than the other, but we try and do a cellular reset, which is drinking in the sun. And then we each do things that bring our pleasure as well as bring us self-care and healing. And I'll talk about that. But do you start your day with pleasure, or do you dive in? So obviously, I would recommend a morning practice, and I've talked about this in other videos. A morning practice that isn't just check off all the things you got to do. Maybe it's stretching and breath work and mantras, but are you doing it with pleasure? So prioritize it, of course, in the morning, but also do it throughout the day, and reward yourself, even if it's a little pleasure trip. I remember when I used to work in corporate, I did not like working in corporate, but I would do little things like I would have like a hand lotion that had aromatherapy in it. I would take a break. I would go to the bathroom and take a really long powder room visit, and I'd do my hair, and I'd do some aromatherapy, and I'd go for a walk, a slow walk, the scenic route back to my desk. And it would help my head clear. So prioritize your pleasure throughout the day, and then once a year take that big pleasure vacation, completely unplug. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's 3 months. You get to set the framework for your life, but prioritize it and use that masculine sword of, we're in right now, the Aries zodiac, which is the archetype of Aphrodite area, or the warrior priestess. So use that masculine energy. Say, I'm not just putting pleasure to the back burner, I create this space. That's the foundation. Number 2 is create a pleasure routine. So throughout the day, like I said, like have it scheduled. This is where the sword of the Aphrodite area comes in, is instead of just like, oh, I'll get around to it, I'm going to put it on the last thing to do. I'm going to put my kid first. I'm going to put my husband first. I'm going to put this first and all my work that I have to do. Instead, reward yourself when you do your big frog task. Reward yourself when you enroll that high-end client. Are you going to take a weekend to the mountains and get a spa day? We often just push without any reward, and then we're telling our subconscious mind that we're slaves. And so I know a lot of people that are millionaires. I know a lot of people that are very, very successful financially, and they are not so different than the peasant families that they come from, where, I have family friends that they own a big supermarket chain, and they could have retired a long time ago. And I love their work ethic. It's beautiful. But they still can be really tight and cheap, and they don't take breaks, and they're always constantly going. And it sort of made me sad to see when they lost a loved one in their family that had been doing this, and he died when he was working at age 90, pushing. And I get it. I understand, because their ancestors came out of poverty. They came out of persecution, out of internment camps. And so sometimes we are still in those negative ancestral timelines, and we are enslaving ourselves. We're not in the Holocaust anymore. We're not slaves anymore. We're not in the Japanese internment camps. We're not in this war. Maybe let's hope that you're not in the war that's going on right now. And if you're not in it, and even if you are in it, use every ounce of freedom that you have to prioritize your pleasure because your pleasure is your inner child. And if you're not letting him or her play in the playgrounds and you haven't created a routine just like you do for a kid, you let them go out on the slide, you have a recess, you're not just boxing them into the classroom all day long, then you're not optimizing your inner child's growth. So pleasure is an important aspect of a successful routine, even if you, especially if you are a CEO and you have a lot of responsibilities and you're the visionary, you are the Rolls Royce of the Rolls Royce. Take the time to carve pleasure out and integrate it in everything you do during the day and night. 11 ways to increase pleasure. Number 3 is to become a pleasure researcher. So one of the things that a lot of my high-end clients say when I'm inviting them into this aspect of the divine feminine, they're like, well, I know how to succeed. I know how to be a visionary in my business. I know how to go after what I want, except for in the area of love and emotions and pleasure. You know, they can do a bottle of wine. They know how to do maybe champagne, bubble baths, that kind of thing, breaks on the beach, but they don't know how to really get into a deep pleasure that's not sedated or drunken or kind of tuning out, dissociating. Pleasure, really getting in the body and really experiencing deep levels of joy, bliss, pleasure, that takes practice. And so it's new. Have a beginner's mind. It's okay if you're new to this. It's like being born again as a little child. And we need to try new things on. So sometimes my clients will say things like, oh my gosh, I know, Amanda, you like to do ecstatic dance, or you want me to do this like interpretive, improv, sound channeling. That scares me. I don't know. I can't control that. So what I say to you, if you have this kind of high achieving overachiever archetype and it's hard for you to expand into your creative energy, is to just be a kid. Just don't care. Just let it all out. To try things out. Being a pleasure researcher can mean, instead of going to that same beautiful Italian restaurant with the view that you go to every week, every time you go to this seaside vacation, to try something exotic, try something new. If you're going to the same place on the Amalfi Coast every summer, go to Africa, go somewhere totally different. That's going to like throw your brain off, because the brain gets in these loops, these patterns, and we can think, oh, this is the best thing for me. This is my happy place. But if we're stuck in this like little box, we're not trying new things, then our brain can't develop these new pathways and synapses. So try different food, try different massage styles, throw away your vibrator for a minute and try something completely different outside of the box. I once had a lover that was like, okay, like, what gets you off, but what if we try something totally different? And I was like, but I don't know if I'll like it. And he's like, well, why don't we just experiment? Why don't we try? And he went with what was more pleasurable for him. And me being the feminist, I was like, I should be able to control everything. But in surrendering and letting him pleasurably support his pleasure, as well as listening to my boundaries and checking in, I had this surrender experience, and it ended up being totally new, totally different, totally hot. And then I was like, let's do that every time. And he's like, no. So women, sometimes we can get in routines. We can be control freaks. Men can too. But when you are really a pleasurista, when you can expand into high levels of orgasmic tantric bliss or creativity, these masterful, probably Leonardo da Vinci was probably like super multiple orgasmic man, tantric, he had this like extra dimensional level of creativity in the way of seeing the world. Well, he was always doing weird things to research. He would cut open at a time where it was totally illegal. He would sneak into the morgue and like cut open bodies and dissect them because he wanted to know what was inside. He would experiment with weird flying machines and devices when that was like not something that was done. And we know that he was able to have these liftoffs, and he sparked the movement for a lot of the technologies and art and architecture that we have today. So the greatest minds know how to research, to have that curiosity, to look and to experience. What do we like? What do we not like? And if you find something you don't like, then great. I remember going to a very sensual party in my 20s, and I was very open-minded, but I also had a good sense of boundaries. And I remember going to this party, and there was this guy that had these like metal nails, and I was like, let me just dance and see. And he was like scratching my arm in this like supposedly pleasurable way. And I liked the sensation, but I was like, nah, still creepy. I don't know you. You're like this older guy. And I was like, thank you. I appreciate that. But, I feel like that's not for me. I hope you find someone that wants to have that wonderful scratch. And I just left. And a lot of times we don't know how to set boundaries. So we're like, I can't try a new thing. So we got to also work on our boundaries, our self-worth, our father, mother wounds, all the things that I talk about on this channel. So subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to see you on this journey for the rest of our lives together. All right. I love to bond with my people. So comment, let me know how you're doing in this video. I love you, people. I love you, beautiful one. All right, 11 ways to increase sorry, my team wrote increase with a C. That's like my perfectionist is like, that's okay. 4, surround yourself with pleasuristas. So if you are a pleasurista, you're going to bloom and expand when you're around other pleasurable women. That's why the harem, right? Like the archetype of the king that would have like this harem of all these women, and he would store them in this like big fancy mansion, and each room he had like a woman, and they would come together and they'd have these pleasure parties, and he'd just like get to have his way and have fun. Well, if you take out the patriarchal, like disgusting aspect of basically enslaving women into their sexuality, and we bring women together in their pleasure, whether it's something very G related, like getting a manicure together, or maybe something a little PG oriented, like dancing together, ecstatic dance, 2 women dancing together, or even a little PG-13, like, women ecstatically dancing together. This is something I do. I go to a dance called Eros, and women, men, we will dance with contact improv. I've learned how to set healthy boundaries. I don't recommend this for people that have a lot of sexual trauma, who have not learned to set healthy boundaries, who have still re-traumatization patterns that might be looping. Probably better to start with like dancing alone or ecstatic dance or come to the dance. But I do this contact improv every Wednesday, and it's so inspiring to me to dance with other women, to celebrate them. It's not about, wow, like she's got a hot body, or she's got like the longest legs and I want her to wrap them around me. No, it's like I am celebrating a mirror of myself, a mirror I am, the Mary Magdalene energy. She is a high priestess. I see her in her dance. Her uniqueness is so exquisite. It's so different from me, and yet we are one. We are woman. We are womb. And so I'll dance with women, and sometimes it feels good to just like barely touch, and other times I'll dance with them and we're massaging each other's backs, or we're doing lifts and things like that. It's very edgy. Sometimes I've had like tantric kundalini experiences with other women, and it's not sexual. It's sexual energy, but we're not rubbing and grinding body parts. It's literally like we're celebrating like the leaf out there in my garden that's connecting with the wind, that's connecting with the water and the earth. We're just honoring nature, and it can be very innocent. And if we teach our children not to touch, not to play, not to look at each other's bodies, and instead we're then, those things are suppressed, and we're forcing women into Disney fairy tales, and then they start going into 17 magazine and having anorexia and bulimia because they're trying to fulfill this unmet desire of pleasure with other female bodies, so other female souls embodied. So find yourself with other people, especially it's great to have mixed, men, women, they, he, she, they together. But I also like to have my feminine temple of the sacred chalice, just women coming together, really going into this very watery feminine space and honoring each other as a mirror. 5, practice pleasure mindfulness. Do you have your mindfulness practice where you're sitting on a cushion, you're like, shut up the mind, be quiet, like sometimes we can just be so harsh on ourselves. Just like I'm looking at the C in increase, I'm like, that's not how you spell it. And I didn't notice it as I was editing the slides. We can often go into a mindfulness and we can just be like, I'm doing it wrong. This isn't right. I need to be more like my meditation teacher, and I need to breathe more. And I wonder if my friend who has manifested with her meditation practice is as crazy as I am. Instead, can we allow our meditation, our mindfulness practice to be feminine and flowing. I was taught a style that's very imaginative. It's expansive, it's completely creative. And I love teaching psychic meditations to women. I call it psychic, but really it's imaginative. It's where you put on a grounding cord, you connect to the cosmic and earth energy, and you can imagine any psychic thing you want, a color. You can imagine your grounding cord as a gold chain. It could be a pink building. It can be a crystalline pillar, but you're basically connecting to the earth in the way that the ancients did, from root chakra to earth. You're dropping energy down, you're bringing it up, but you're using so much creativity. So I love imaginative healings. When I heal people's chakras, sometimes I'll like use sparkles, or I'll use a rainbow prism, or I see all these visuals. And the way that I became a very developed psychic reader is my creativity couldn't stop. I'd be like, I see you wearing this like boring black suit. It looks like you're like, you know, imprisoned in something. But I also see this like medicine, this medical powder that like you're putting on people that you don't like. And they're like, I'm a doctor and I hate what I do. And I don't want to be in this industry anymore. It doesn't feel in alignment. And I'm like, whoa. So let your third eye unfold in a completely creative way and not force it. The old paradigm masculine meditation is you stick to a template that someone else tells you. I believe the new Divine Feminine Rise template is, sure, we can use those as tools, as guidelines, as inspiration, but we're really coloring outside the lines and we're expanding into creating our own paradigms. Number 6, stay turned on. So click. We know what I'm talking about. We're talking about orgasmically turning yourself on with your kundalini, with your pleasure, with your self-touch. Staying turned on could be physically orgasmic, like, oh, she's coming, or it could be the kind of orgasm that's it's just a massage. It's subtle, it's energetic, it's intimacy, it's you connecting with an essential oil, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. So you're doing things that can support the movements of your chakras, that support the flow of energy in your body. Staying turned on means not going too long without having a self-pleasure practice. And yes, I definitely recommend having a self-pleasure practice as well as to having a practice if you're in partnership. If it's just, hey, we'll just leave it to when we're turned on, it might be kind of chaotic, or it might not be as sacred, or it might be too sparse depending on your libidos. Especially as people are in relationships for many years, as they are maybe having more children, it can be harder to keep that twin flame ignited. So we need to spark the passion by having date night, having Sunday sexy mornings, having tantric Tuesdays, putting it on the calendar, approaching each other. And it doesn't have to be a 3-hour lovemaking session. Sure, if you want that and you have the time for that, great. But you can even have a simple 5-minute plug-in practice. You could even have a massage with coconut oil or whatever lube you use and just play and see where it goes. And if you want to go for more and it turns into this climatic, grandiose event, then fabulous. That's to your pleasure. But there's no pressure, just pleasure, and having a 5-minute ritual every single day to stay turned on with yourself, with your partner, will lead your way to a very pleasurable life. Now, number 7, activate your senses. So sight, touch, taste, smell, and sight, head, shoulders, knees and toes. So sight, taste, touch, smell, and nipples. Why can't I think of the 5th one? I'm under pressure. I'm sure you're like screaming it all. But you know what I mean. I love all the senses. I have my aromatherapy burner burning all the time. When I'm going to make love to my husband, we turn on the candles. We have the incense going. We have the aromatherapy diffuser. We put down some rose petals. The visuals, the colors are so nice. We have like an earthy terracotta kind of like orange and blue theme in our bedroom. This is not our bedroom. This is my office. It just has a very big, giant green bed in it. But I love decorating the house in a way that's aesthetically pleasing because I feel like that pleasure amplifies my senses. It says, I want to be here. So do those things to your body, your mind, your home that activate your senses. And if you're eating food that's bland, add the Indian spices, add extra flavor to your life. Maybe you have a tickle feather by your bed. Maybe you can buy some silky kimonos to wear. I have this satin kimono that I made Jack that I wear every day anyways, because I'm always cold and he's never using it. But it just feels so good and nice. So why don't you do one thing after watching this video that tickles your fancy for your senses? 8, work with tantric energy. What do I mean by tantric energy? So it's not sex energy necessarily, it could be, but tantric energy is working with the light in a way that feels really good. So universal life force energy, it is, we come from this, right? We come out of the sperm and the egg, the light, the love, boom, they collide. So really we're talking about working with the light. So you light workers out there, you know this, you get this. But one way I'm talking about specifically is to let the energy flow through you in a blissful way, and to let the energy ride through you in a way that guides you. So you can rub your hands together. This is a tool that I teach my students in our MA program if they're doing chakra healing or aura healing. And we'll call in the energy that we want to heal with. Maybe you're working with Archangel Michael, or a ancestor, or a deity, or a color. It could be golden light. It could be the energy of rose medicine. If you like to work with your plant kingdom, queendom. So you call in the energy that you want to heal with, or maybe it's just a good intention, an intention to heal. And then you can let the energy move to where it wants to go. The chi, the prana, the flow will move you. So this feels so good. It's the direction of pleasure. It just goes with the flow of the cosmos, with the hologram. And if you're guided to work on certain areas to heal yourself, this can be a really great option. It's like, I love when I was working on my PhD program, I put myself through school by giving facials. I was an esthetician and I started studying energy, and I was like, wow, like I can just give a facial like in this totally psychic way. And people would look like they'd been banged. The women would be like glowing, and their husbands would be like, what are you doing in there? Like wondering, like they would ask, like, why is my wife like so happy, and like she's starting to get like turned on, and their marriage is getting better. And then she'd start telling me all about relationships, and then the single woman would start talking about love and relationships. And then I was like, okay, I think my niche is going to be in my business is I'm going to be doing something with romance. And I ended up becoming a twin flame alchemist from that work. All right, so this is something, number 9, get sensitive. So we're in a masculine world. We're taught to have mind over matter, push, 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 go, go, go. But we actually want to sensitize ourselves, resensitize ourselves. We teach our boys not to be sensitive. When they're babies, we cut off the tips of their penises, which is actually very traumatic. And when men do regressions of that, they have these traumas that they lose a lot of sensation. We're basically telling our men to grow up from pretty much the moment they're born when we do these satanic type of rituals. But instead, and this is my opinion, and this is, I do feel that it's an ancient tradition that comes from, not from the light. We really need to honor the Venus penis. We need to honor the love and the sensitive side of the masculine, because it hurts to hurt. So we've been hurt. We've all been hurt in different ways. Maybe physical pain. I lost a finger when I was 4. It was smashed in the door. It had to be sewed back on, and it still looks a little stumpy and weird. And so we have these traumas that can actually cause these imbalances in the body. When I realized my migraines of 20 years were caused by when I had my finger crushed, I tensed so much, and I was always like anticipating another trauma coming. So we need these practices where we slow down. So the mindfulness practices that I was talking about in pleasure, can you go really slow? Can you do embodiment practices? Can you do these chi practices where you're moving energy slowly? Because I do the fiery, the fast, the furious when I'm dancing. I'm like, pew! But then I remember it's important to slow down and get that yin sensitivity, really open the sensitive energies in the body and also in our emotional life. If we're guarding ourselves in relationships, if we're not talking about our vulnerable feelings, we never get intimate deeply with someone, then we can't have a lasting relationship where we're fully met. So a lot of us have these armored veils because we were abandoned as children, we were made fun of, we were bullied in school. So we go overly masculine, we push, we don't want to open up. But if we want to rise to the divine feminine and we want to experience the ascension process with all aspects of ourselves, not just our masculine, but our feminine and masculine, our yin, our yang, our vulnerable and our powerful, then we need to come together and have our powerful masculine side say, I'm here to protect you so you can really get sensitive. I'm here to create a sacred space and to shield off dark negative energy. And I'm here to help you explore this aspect of yourself. So it's about balancing both our feminine and masculine, and that incorporates our sensitive side. Explore yourself. Have a pleasure journal. Are you journaling every day just about your work goals or weight loss goals or, your love, like I want a lover? Are you taking time to actually journal about the things in life that are important, like pleasure? So maybe you have a separate journal devoted to pleasure. Like, wow, today I did this. I experienced this new kind of orgasm. Or, oh my gosh, I went and got this paleo ice cream that just tasted so delicious, and I slowly let it melt on my mouth, and I found this person's hair so beautiful as it was glimmering in the sun. So we're collaging together pieces of our life that celebrate our pleasure, and where the mind goes, the mind goes. So if we're putting our intention and attention on our pleasure regularly, then we increase with the C. All right. 11 ways to increase creativity. The last one is to take pleasure pauses. So really important, especially if you're like me and you work at a desk, you work with your friend, the computer, a lot of time you get real close, pull away from the desk, pause every 20 minutes, step out, go outside if you can. I have beautiful Bali here at my fingertips. Jump in the swimming pool if you have a pool, take a shower, take a break, shake it off, get some not ice cold because ice cold water isn't usually good for us, but do an ice bath or have some fresh spring water, do an aromatherapy pause, massage yourself, and then get back to work. And you'll notice that you have a lot more productivity and you'll have more clarity in your brain, body, mind, spirit to move forward. And this could be another way to say it, or another way that this could work is, if you've been pushing in your love life, say a woman who's looking for her partner and she's obsessive going on Tinder and Plenty of Fish and Bumble and all the dating apps, and she's just every day, and it hasn't been working, and she's getting to be like maybe a little bit angry, resentful, maybe like there are no good ones left, maybe she's finding it to be depressing and she's just wanting to give up. Like, just say, you know what, I'm going to unplug, and even like indulge in that. I give up. This is too hard. I'm just going to do me now. Because when I've done that, that's when I met my partner. I was like, all right, I'm definitely not going to meet someone now. I'm just going to go off to Burning Man with this young 25-year-old. And then like, here we are 10 years later, married with a kid. And it's like, I tried so hard to find the right person. Before that, I was just doing everything right. I went on every dating site. I dated every local guy in my area. I dated all sizes, ages, races, backgrounds, and it just didn't work. But when I just said, I'm going to do me, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to just go enjoy, indulge. We're going to go to a pink vagina tent on our second date. Yeah, Burning Man has a tent that's shaped like a vagina. It was all pink, this huge dome. Nobody was in there. And we had lots of pleasure just getting to know each other and being silly and goofy. Because they've done all the things in this 11 ways to increase creativity. I've done all these things. Sometimes I fall off track. I'm human, so will you. But it's time to take our pleasure pause, take a little break. But before we do, I have an invitation for you. So I have something, I was going to call it a twin flame activation for your pleasure. That's what the email will say if you sign up for this. But for those of you single spiritual ladies, or even if you're not single and you just want to have more pleasure in your life, I have a special offer for you today. So normally my programs start at around $50,000 because I work with a very tiny little number of high power, high achieving women that are looking for their ultimate love in their life. And I only have so much time, and I do really, really deep work. And it came to me in meditation that I want to offer more of my reading sessions, my healings reading sessions, to more women. I can't do it all the time, so this is going to be for only 5 women. So the next 5 women who sign up for the following, what you will get. So what I'm going to do is you can sign up for the Moonstone membership on the Lunar Priestess membership page, and I'll put the link below. You go to aphroditeuniversity.org/full-moon. So when you sign up for this, what you'll get is a monthly full moon live ceremony for the next 12 months. You will get the recordings for that. You will get part of our mastermind group. You will get a twin flame activation, or this divine feminine pleasure activation with me. I will be doing reading, healing work in that session. Normally, I charge over $1,000 an hour. So this is a super, super different offer than I normally do. But I really want to support women in embracing their pleasure, and I'm so excited to do more readings on the divine feminine healing space. All right, so you'll get the session with me, and you will also get a twin flame treasure map. So I'll walk you through the steps if you are looking to call in your life partner, of exactly what you need to do to call in your twin flame. And if you already have your person and you're fulfilled with that, then I can make you a pleasure treasure map as well instead. So check out the page. So I'm going to give you a coupon code. Normally this package without the session from me, with just a session with someone on my team, would be $444. I'm going to give you a coupon code so you can have the session with me personally for just $222. The caveat is there are only 5 spots available for the first 5 women that sign up. So go to aphroditeuniversity.org/full-moon. Click the middle option of the membership tiers. So scroll down. You'll be getting all these goodies and bonuses and the juicy membership. But you'll also be getting the session with me, which is valued at over $1,000. Normally I don't sell sessions just on like one. I'll do a package of a minimum of 3 months. So, and very, very deep in-person work as well. So you get to have a little taste of my work one-on-one. I would love to dive in with you if you've been watching my videos for a while, if you've been like really wanting that quantum leap, and you know that YouTube videos get you like shimmying and excited, but you really want to take a quantum leap, then let's do it. All right, it's time to go, ladies and gents. Thank you for your pleasure. It's been all mine, and a little bit of yours, I hope. Thank you for supporting this channel. Click the link below, aphroditeuniversity.org/full-moon. Sign up, and you will get your spot if you sign up today. All right, blessings. Bye for now.